Good Friday in the upper room. 3 things I need you to know before we begin. First, the account I'm about to read you is, I believe, from the personal journal of Nathanial, one of the unpublished disciples of Jesus. This fragment was found in the basement of an abandoned first-century monastery in Garden Grove, California. It was written in a long abandoned style of communication known as cursive writing or longhand. And as there are so few living who can interpret this ancient script, there may be some errors in the translation, but I believe we are as close to the original text as can be obtained given the current level of scholarship and the understanding of this formal language. Second, I am about to ask you to do a very difficult thing. I'm about to ask you to forget something you know, something you believe to be true. I need you to put yourself in the moments just after sundown on Good Friday and forget what is coming. As far as you know, there is no first day of the week resurrection, no Easter morning, just the now, the present moment. Friday evening, Shabbat has begun. It's Passover Shabbat. And it is the evening after so much has happened that you would like to forget. Forgetting is this one more thing, this first day of the week, might not even cross your mind because it hasn't happened yet. Third, I need you in your imagination to place yourself in the upstairs room in first century Jerusalem. The room is dark, so if you need to, dim the lights. It's lit only by a couple of oil lamps. So take a moment, light a candle. The shutters are closed. The door is barred. It is stuffy. And the air of solemnity and fear that have permeated the place and the people gathered there has at last dissipated. Nathanial sits at the table, the last one awake. He's writing. There is so much to remember, and yet so much he wishes he could forget. Finally, it's the evening after, he writes. After Passover dinner last night, after the embarrassment of foot washing, after the master's talk of betrayal, if only we believed him, after prayer in the garden, actually after falling asleep in the garden when we were supposed to be praying, which is, by the way, the only sleep we've had in the last 2 days. After the betrayal, really, Judas? With a kiss? After the arrest? After the joke of trial? First with the Sanhedrin, then with Pilate, then with Herod, and then with Pilate again. What a travesty. What a joke. After the release of Barabbas. What is it with Barabbas? A murderer. After the abuse, the beatings, the nails, the cross, after the earthquake, after dead people walking the streets of Jerusalem, after the curtain in the temple being torn, top to bottom, or so I hear. After the sky turning dark and the air growing oh so cold. After the master, the teacher is dead. After he was laid in a borrowed tomb. Thank you, Joseph. You really came through. Bless you. After so much. As I said, it's the evening after. After it all came to an end, it's Passover Shabbat, and the sun's gone down, and the day has ended, but the pain within, I fear it's just begun. It's the end of trips preaching the kingdom of heaven across the countryside. It's the end of healings, the end of walking on water and feeding thousands with a kid's lunch. It's the end of those strange stories, those parables he told, trying to explain the unexplainable, trying to help us know the unknowable. It's the end of raising the dead. He raised others, but now he's gone, and there's no one to do it for him. The ride is over. The curtain has come down on the final act, and here we are all huddled together behind closed doors, each of us wondering, fearing that we could be next. Sundown has brought the Sabbath. Passover Sabbath and the holy days are almost over. And tonight, it is cold. With the clouds and the darkness that came in the middle of the afternoon, came the cold. We sit gathered in this room, holding our breath. Each time we hear footsteps outside, we hold our breath. Each time we hear voices in the street below, we hold our breath. I'm not sure if it's so we can hear better, or if we're afraid we might be heard, discovered, and arrested as well. Now Peter was over in the corner with his head in his hands. Oh, poor Peter. Last night went badly for him. He mumbles over and over, stupid servant girl, or sometimes, I'm so stupid. Sometimes he replaces stupid with proud or afraid. But I'm afraid mornings will be hard for a long time to come for him, because each time the rooster crows, he'll remember, and it'll be like a dagger to his heart. Now, Mary told us not to go easy on him. She said, the master never went easy on Peter, so don't you start. He'll get through this, and he'll be stronger for the journey. She's right, of course. But oh, how I feel Peter's pain. John's not doing much better. He's angry with himself that he left Peter alone in that courtyard. John, he stood in the doorway like a schoolboy, watching the travesty of a trial, transfixed on what came to pass, unable to act and yet unable to turn away. He says now we need to stick together, that especially now we must travel in pairs at the very least. None of us should have to go alone anymore. And he's very, very sorry. So sorry for leaving Peter on his own. They really shouldn't be so hard on themselves. I mean, after the arrest, we all scattered. We ran like rats in all directions. In fact, one young man only got away by leaving his tunic behind and running into the night buff naked. He's back here with us now, but he's not telling us where he got the clothes he's currently wearing. I wonder. Yes, one by one we made it back here to this rented upper room. That is, everyone with the exception of the betrayer. And I understand it turned out badly for him. I think that he, too, often traveled alone, too often. He kept to himself. We never really got to know him, but the Master knew him. The Master knew what he was about to do and loved him all the same. John's right, though. From here on out, nobody goes it alone. As I said, we made our way back here tonight. It was too risky to travel the roads in the open today. Besides, where could we go? The priests know about Mary and Martha's house in Bethany. I'm sure it's watched. I pray that they'll be all right. We couldn't go back there. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. No, tonight it's better. Back here in this borrowed upper room. Simon, our resident zealot, called it a defensible position. The stairway limits access. I don't know about that. We've still got the 2 swords, but I doubt we have the will or the skill to use them. We made a pretty poor showing in the garden with the temple guards, and I don't think anyone is eager to try that again. Besides, there's a back window in this place that gives us an escape route across the roofs of Jerusalem. In fact, that's how Thomas got back here, just before dark. He was afraid that the stairs and the door were being watched, so he took to the roofs and snuck through the window. Oh, he gave us all a terrible fright, and then a really good laugh. That laugh we needed oh so desperately. Matthew then asked if running across the rooftops after sunset would be considered a violation of Shabbat. And we laughed again. If it comes to taking to the roofs of Jerusalem tonight, Shabbat breaking will be the last of our worries. Thanks be to God, blessed be He, for the women. They have lit a lamp and said the Sabbath prayers. If not for them, we men would still be sitting in the dark, trying to cope with our fears. We'd be hungry, tired, and confused. We're still tired and confused, but the lamp has brought the illusion of warmth to this place, with its amber glow and its shadows dancing on the wall. And the women have passed out the leftovers from last night's Passover feast. A bit of cold lamb, some bread, and the taste of wine have blessed our hearts. In fact, we began to share our favorite remembrances of the Master. Andrew suggested that perhaps that's what the Master meant when he told us to remember him as often as we break bread and drink wine. And oh, we did remember him. We told stories of walking on water and calming storms with just a word. We shared memories of him making lame men dance, and of demons being cast out with just a word. And all those puzzling stories he told. Such memories filled our hearts for a long time into the night. And in spite of the exhaustion and our grief, the more we shared, the further despair and fear seemed to move from us. And our hearts were warmed as though the Master was still with us. And one by one, we dropped off to sleep, comforted and unafraid. Soon it will be the morning after, the evening after. And when the sun sets again, Shabbat will be over. I do not know what the first day of the week will bring, but we will find a way, with the grace of God, blessed be He, to face that day with hope. And there the fragment ends. What do we do with this? Here are some suggestions and thoughts for these times of isolation and distancing. Do you have a favorite Jesus story? It could be from Scripture, or it could be from your own life. Again, meditate on it. Imagine it. Be present to this story and Jesus in that moment. And then call someone and share. Are you facing loss or pain? Emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain? This is not a time to be alone. Despite our tendency to withdraw in times of vulnerability, we need others around us, not to fix us, but simply to be present. Be the one to reach out first. Don't wait for others. Be a blessing to others and and you'll be blessed. It just somehow works that way. Remember, Jesus is present and knows your pain. Be honest with him. It's called prayer. Take a moment and count your blessings, not your losses. A little food, a little wine, and companionship, even at a distance, can improve our spiritual attitude. Have you ever tried e-communion? Call someone. And lastly, have you tried laughter and music and dancing in times of trials and suffering and confusion? It can bring you peace and joy in your isolation. Give it a try. Sing like no one is listening, because really, they shouldn't be.